In this short recording, we're going to look at some exam preparation you need to know for AC548. So this should supplement the discussion we had in class in week 10. And it's really just talking about what to do before the exam, during the exam, and after the exam. It is a big change this year now because it's an open book exam. You'll be sitting at home and it'll be done solely online. There's a couple of key things we need to watch for in terms of just preparation so you're not surprised in the day of the exam. So before the exam, as I talked about in week 10 in class, sort your exam location. So you need to decide now, well, what laptop am I using? Have I a charger? Is the laptop fully charged? Do I have a quiet room? And will I have Wi-Fi for the day? Or can you connect directly to the router to get a more reliable internet connection? So just bear that in mind and practice that before your exam. Think of the time of day, think of the day of the week. Is there anyone going to be in the house? And just have all of that planned so you know there's going to be no surprises on the day. Beforehand, have your templates ready and have them saved on your laptop and in your, for example, Dropbox or Google Drive. So you're not setting them up on the day of the exam. So for example, up on your loop page, I have given you, if you look it down here, a cover page, January 2020 exam cover page. So you'll download, you have something like that. Save that now. That's going to be your Microsoft Word document you're going to submit. You have a choice of putting it into PDF, that's fine, but I would file and save that now and put your name and student number on it. So on the day of the exam, that file is the file you're going to put your final answer in, and then you can decide you can upload it as in a Microsoft Word document, or you can upload it as a PDF and convert it before you send it. The only thing you have to put in is your student name and student number, and please watch your file name, save your file name as your student name and student number as well. So it'll be easier to, again, go through and sort all of those to make sure we have everyone when we get all the submissions in. So download that, save it. Also, save a new Excel file. Save it with your name and student number. You're not going to be submitting this, but have the file ready that you're ready to go when it does come up on the day of the exam if you're planning to use Excel. And I'll talk you through some of the tips and tricks on that in a minute or so. So all of that should be ready beforehand, as well as practicing past papers. So you have 5 past papers up there. Keep at least one of those and practice them under exam conditions. And by that I mean complete it online. Type your answer, watch the pace, try and practice with the same laptop, the same screens, the same time of day, the same room that you're going to be doing your exam in. So you get used to that environment, you get used to how draining it will be. The exam itself is 2 hours and you get an extra half an hour then as well because registry have a standardized time just because they formatted the exam. So it's going to be a 2.5 duration in total. But remember, in that 2.5 hour duration, you have to download the exam paper and you have to upload your exam answer. So you have to bear that in mind when you're thinking about how long you have to do each question. On the day of the exam will be released. Now it's not clear yet. We're waiting for registry to confirm on either Loop or Loop exam. So for example, if it's on Loop, it'll be a little window down here, 2020 exam, like you'll see here, and you'll be able to download it as PDF. That window will only appear once the exam time slot comes up. So until you get your exam slot, I think it's Friday the 8th at 2 o'clock, just double check that. At 2 o'clock it will appear. So again, you'll have to refresh your page, you'll download that PDF. You can then decide whether you want to print it or not. So you have a choice whether you want to print the paper if you have a printer. You don't have to. You might just use it on a separate screen, but some people may want to print that paper, but that's all part of the 2.5 hour time slot you have. They did use in semester 2 last year this thing called Loop exam. Just it was a different website. It was still based on Loop, but it was solely just for exam purposes because we felt the exams were, the website was crashing when we were just using normal Loop. But that will be told clearly well in advance of the exam. So you will be going on to one of those pages, downloading it in PDF form, and then it's your choice whether you want to print it or not. Also start practicing now using Excel and Microsoft Word. You don't have to use Excel, but it can be quite useful when you're doing some calculations out, just to structure them. But there's nothing wrong using, for example, just using tables. So you can go to here, sorry there. You can go to, for example, insert a table. So you might want to put in a table if you're doing numbers like that. There's nothing wrong with doing it directly in Microsoft Word, but we're not accepting now handwritten submissions because just the complexity and the problem with plagiarism, etc. We don't want handwritten. We want to have them typed in either Microsoft Word or in PDF, but you can only submit a single document. So if you do plan to use Excel, for example here, and you're using that. So for example, I'm doing ratios and I'm saying this ratio is 145 over 2240, say in 2011. And then in 2012, over here, 2012, I'll say it is 150 over 2650. So you see the way I'm showing my formula, and then in this one, I'll do 145 over 2240, and I will do 150 over 2650. So the key point is I'm giving my answer, but I'm also showing the formula. What you don't do is leave out this and just show this calculation, because when you copy that into Microsoft Word, no one knows where those figures are coming from. So you must annotate it. And the way I do it is, if you put that little apostrophe and then put equals, it actually just shows the full text. Now that is the same formula here, but it's just easier there when you do it that way, that it shows you, for example, where the calculation came from. And that will be important as part of the overall one, that you get an idea for the examiner where it's coming from. If you want to change these to percentages, there's a little percentage button up here, and you can bring it out 1 or 2 decimals if you want as well using this button. Same here, percentage and out. If it's not a percentage, then you can use this figure, change it to decimal, or you can change it back. But it's all about presentation. The smart thing here is decide what font you're using in Microsoft Word. So for example, here we might use Times New Roman, and I usually maybe use 12. But again, it's flexible as long as it's legible, we're not too worried. But then just choose all the Excel file, Control and A, press the whole thing, maybe once or twice depending on what you're doing, Control A, and then change that to Times New Roman 12 as well. So when you copy it in, it's going to be the exact same format. So this is Times New Roman 12. You can bold this, Control and B, or press the bold up here. You can italics it, underline it, exact same as you do in Microsoft Word. And the nice thing then is we'll say that's gross profit margin. When I copy this in now, if I just want to copy all these cells, Control and C, and you go back to your Microsoft Word, you can actually just press Control and V. It's now copied in as a table, and it's all Times New Roman 12. It's bold and underlined where it is, and you can even bold it more by using a table there, like in Microsoft Word. So there is a lot of benefit, particularly in those ratio questions or anything you get that's very numerical. There's a benefit there of using Microsoft Excel because it's easier to do your calculations, it's easier to do the numbers out. Because if you end up here, you'll have to start typing in everything, and it ends up getting messy quite quickly. It copies and pastes in then as a table. But certainly do all your font, your size formula, your size font, etc. at the start, and just have the whole Excel file standardized. But if anyone has any other questions, if you want to, for example, put a table around that, you just go to here to border, and let's put an outside border. So now that's all bordered. So when I copy that in now, and I get rid of that one, just tap and get rid of it, backspace, copy it in, it now has a border around it. Right? If you're not happy with the layout because sometimes it's squished together, this little button down the bottom, when you highlight the table, this little button down the bottom, that can pull and drag it out. And you can see you can get something like that then. Or you can have it smaller or bigger. So it is very flexible, but that's what you're working towards. Do not think you cannot submit in Microsoft Excel, because we're not going digging into every formula. We're expecting you to show that. And that's the danger. If you delete those and that's all you show me, the formula, if you copy that into Microsoft Word, what happens? That's all I see. I see 6.47 and 5.66. If that's right, that's great. But if it's wrong, you're going to get 0. You're not even going to get attempt marks because I can't see where your workings are from. So bear that in mind. Show your workings. Show where the calculations are coming from. Show what numbers you're using. Don't skip steps. I know it can be tempting, but you will end up losing a lot of marks. So that's how you will gauge Microsoft Excel. Tidy up all the formula, bold it, italics it, lay it out the way you want it, and then just copy it in. And what that allows you to do then is you can write your answer, your text answer, underneath. Or you can use bullet points or whatever format you want to use. Nothing wrong with bullet points either, but it's nice and neat then. You have a table of numbers and you comment underneath. All right, so that's a key thing to consider in your preparation, and no handwritten submissions. So what I'm expecting for submission, there'll be a submission link if you go on, for example, here, similar to there's a submission link for your continuous assessment. There'll be something like that either wherever you download the paper from. You have to upload that, and you're most likely going to have to tick a box about plagiarism. So there's going to be an automated plagiarism declaration. I don't expect you to submit a separate one, that you're just going to say, I agree that this is all my own work, etc. There's no plagiarism, and you tick a box yes or something like that. So it'll be pre-built in by DCU registry when you're submitting it. And then you will upload there a single document. You'll click and drag it, and that document should either be in Microsoft Word, or for example, if I wanted to convert that now to PDF at the end, you go up, you press File. Now it's not showing you there in my the way I have the screen laid out, but you go to File, you go to Save As. Now there is different ways, but this is the way I do it. You go Save As, Browse. Just gives a second, and then you can name it whatever else. So I want you just to name. So we'll say John Doe, and we'll say student number 5785. So that's the way I want you to submit it, and you can save it as PDF when you save as type. So what that will do you is it'll save as PDF, and usually my laptop at least, it pops up directly as a PDF then. So that is PDF'd, no one can change that. Now you should have your name and number in there as well, and that is ready to be submitted. And you just click and drag it in, and you will have your name and your student number as the file name as well. So you don't have to PDF it, but I know just for ease of mind, you'd rather have it PDF so you know no changes can happen if it was a Word document. So that's the last step, and what's your file name, and click and drag it in. So the key things there are, have your templates ready, download the cover page, save it, resave it with your name and your student number, and be ready to slot in the questions after that. Have an Excel template ready. Now, there's not much in it, but have it at Times New Roman, have it 12 ready to copy and paste in. And practice that. Practice using the templates when you're answering past exam papers. Use Excel, use Microsoft Word, and time yourself. The big thing here is pace. Students are practicing. It is a 2.5 hour exam, but you're going to need at least 15 or 20 minutes to download the paper, print it if you want, nothing to stop you printing it, and to tidy up the submission at the end, save it as a PDF if you want, and to actually upload it. And bear in mind that things can happen. You may need to go to the bathroom, you may have issues with Wi-Fi. You need to build that into your time. 2.5 hours from start to finish is the total time. So watch for that and practice with past exam papers as well. And look, if you do have any other questions about the process or how it's going to work, don't be afraid to ask. Please try and ask on Padlet, the link that I've given you, because that means everyone else will see the answer as well. And it will save me having to post it on Padlet at any stage to make sure everyone is the same. Because if you have the question, 3 or 4 of your classmates are going to have the same question as well. So it'll just be beneficial to everyone if we use that platform over the next couple of weeks. So hopefully you found that useful, but if there's anything that you're unsure of coming up to the exam, don't be afraid to ask.